Welcome to On the Ground with Nadia O on the Life with Impact podcast. And it's my privilege to introduce you to my guest today, a phenomenal woman that's going to be telling her story about diagnosis of illness, sickness that she had to face and how she's lived with it and overcome it and how it has impacted and changed her irrevocably. It's Lindi Badenhorst. It's my privilege. Lindi, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Nadia, thanks for having me. I feel quite privileged to just to having the platform just to speak about what's ever happened and where it's taken me and where I'm off to.
Yeah, so Lindi, if we start from the very start, who is Lindi? And, before we come to what has happened in your life and what you've had to face, we want to start with you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a daughter of the king. Like, who is Lindi Badenhorst?
So Nadia, I'm just normal. I've grown up in Gauteng, Pretoria, born and bred. I've got three sisters, married to my husband. Our oldest is in varsity already, and then our second child is in grade 10, and then we've got it's not an oopsie, we planned every one of them. But yeah, little Sion is only in grade 4 now. And I'm eating humble pie.
Okay, I'm also one of we are actually four sisters, but so we are three from the same father, four from the same mother. So I'm the youngest actually, and then I've got 11-year younger because my mother remarried. Okay, so where do you fall within the scope of sisterhood?
I'm
Oldest,
third.
middle,
I'm third.
youngest.
A third.
But you
Yeah.
have three sisters. Oh, so you're four. You're four.
Yeah, so so she's fourth. Yeah, so I've got I'm
Okay, so
third
you're
in
third.
line.
Well, frankly, I'm also third because we are four girls, so I'm also
Yeah.
third.
You also forgot. Oh, weird.
Alrighty, okay, so
It's
Lindi, tell us.
no, I just want to say it is quite a different to grow up in with only girls and raising only boys. But
Oh
I've
wow.
accustomed to that. No, it's lovely. They make me laugh so much.
Well, I don't know if I would have raised boys. I don't know. I've heard that boys are more naughty than girls. Do you think
And
that's true?
they're very fun. They're very fun.
Okay. Well, Lindy, okay, so you at what point, how old were your children when you first became sick? Not diagnosed, but when you started to realize something's wrong.
Okay, so it's actually 16 years ago. I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy, and for whoever don't know or understand what Bell's palsy actually entails, it's a virus that either spreads from your left or right ear, but the muscles from whichever ear, the virus attacks the muscles. Mine was on my right ear, so it attacked the muscles from my right ear to literally, half of my face. So that was all paralyzed, literally also overnight. So I went to bed the evening, and the next morning there was just nothing. Food fell out of my mouth, and I because this was hanging, the side of my face seemed to overcompromise, and just it was not a great it was not a it's not a great look. But I healed. 3 months later, I was myself again. I had special care. I had to drive to Edenvale twice a week. I was back to normal in 3 months' time. And from there onwards, literally 13 years later, it was during COVID. The rules just started to get a little bit easier on us, and I took one of the boys to tennis practice, and I took our youngest as well because I thought, oh, let's just get him out of the house. We were planning on playing soccer, and I had this huge attack in the car. I felt pins and needles on my feet and my hands went all spastic. And our second oldest boy, Heinrich, Yeah, he was only 11 at the time. And yeah, he had to phone my husband. I was able to pull off just alongside the road, but it was also late afternoon, so the workers went to get their taxis and buses and stuff, and it was a, it was frightful. And I was driving at the time. I was driving a manual car, so I managed to just pull over, but I wasn't able to switch off the ignition. And he phoned my husband to come and help, and he pulled me over to his car, and with the two boys, they weren't allowed into ER. They sat outside by the security guard. My husband loved him dearly, obviously, but he's not very vocal about. He's a Christian, obviously, and he believes in the same and everything, but he's not very vocal. But I've never heard him praying so much. Could not bother who heard him, and he was like just losing it. Not Lindy, not Lindy, not today, not today. So I think the whole spastic hands paralyzing was just actually anxiety because I didn't know what was happening. After that, sitting in the ER, the doctor, actually neurologist, said I had this huge anxiety attack. And Nadia, you not knowing me, I'm the most relaxed person on earth. I don't get anxious. I just don't. And so I knew it was not anxiety, but yeah, we did the responsible thing. I did a CAT scan and a whatever CT, whatever you named it. But we neglected doing an MRI because yeah, we just didn't know. So all the tests come back clean, and I was actually I just had to accept that yeah, all of a sudden not being anxious, anxiety, and because of that, because of being misdiagnosed, so I just carried on. So over that period of time, I think it was about 4 or 5 months, I still took my children to school, couldn't walk, double vision, repeating myself, getting lost on my way back from school to home.
Sure.
So I think that was the scariest part of it all. I remember driving alongside Old Joburg Road, and I saw 2 trucks coming towards me, and I just went off on the gravel road, and luckily there's just only 2 lanes. Yeah, I didn't bump into anyone, but I think that was the scariest moment. And actually, just a bit having a laugh, I picked up all 3 boys from school the one day, and for me to get home, I need to take the N1, and then I need to take the N14 to get to our house. And yeah, didn't get to our house. I just drove past at the N14, and the earliest I could actually find my way back, I had to make a U-turn on New Road. So yeah, so luckily I turned around and I saw, oh well, all the boys are on their tablets or on technology, and I just no one noticed. But we got home.
But during this time, when all of this is happening, Lindy, surely you must have reached a point where you are asking the Lord, what's going on, Lord? Like, what did this mean to you as a person? Like, going through this, how did it affect you?
Nadia, I think I don't want to compare myself to more severe illnesses or someone that has had life harder than myself, but I do think that people suffer more or less the same. You suffer loss of who you are, or who you were, what you could do, what you couldn't do, to be just stripped, or yeah, and to be honest, I never thought of myself as someone that neglected my health. My neurologist also said, from having Bell's palsy, 13 years later, only being diagnosed with MS, it took some time for having another flare-up. So yeah, I was angry. Then, but at very first, I thought, oh well, you know what, survived Bell's palsy, could not be bothered, la la la, MS, got you, gonna get over this. And the more I read up, and the more because of being misdiagnosed, the more real it got. Asking questions, the same same question over and over, forgetting, getting lost, not knowing where I am. I went to fetch my one child he went to Waterkloof High School, and I suddenly also felt, being misdiagnosed, I again felt the pins and needles. My hands were all getting spastic again, and I drove myself to Kloof because yeah, that was just the closest. And I remember just driving into the ER, there behind the proper hospital. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have another flare up, I can just, I'm going to be in safe hands, more or less. And when I opened my door, I fell out of my car and I couldn't walk. So it's very unpredictable if not treated. People,
Did you at this point in your life ask God, why? Why me? What's happening? God, where are you?
I do this,
did you experience any struggle with your faith?
I do still do so. I get upset with people saying, why me? And then you have to reply, but why not me? I'm like, no, illness or sickness is not from God. I'm sorry. And I struggle to accept it to this day. I do have bad days where I fight, more than fight. But overall, it's just, I just feel like this is just an obstacle that I have to overcome. And I've overcome so much. I've regained most of my cognitive. I had to alter vehicles, but I know God has his own timing, but sometimes I'm like, tick tock, tick tock. I do feel like, you know what, I actually want to be the same mom to my youngest than I was to my oldest. And I'm not able to always. And I think it's similar to an extent of just having lost something. You get angry, you get upset, you get teary, and then it's just a cycle again. If some medication didn't work, you ask why, but why not? Then you're upset again, and then you cry, and then you get over it, and then it's just a cycle repeated. And then I do realize that in every part of this, since I've been diagnosed with MS, there's not been one day that I haven't gone without any help from God. I wasn't able to, when my youngest was in grade R, I wasn't able to walk him into school. And this lady, Christelle, she walked Sion in with to school. Whenever I had a flare up, there was always someone standing by. Numerous, I would fall asleep driving at the robot. I would just fall asleep. My eyes would just close. I would just fall asleep. And people would hoot. And one of my friends started phoning me. I actually thought afterwards, a friend of mine is a little bit annoying, phoning me every day at 7:30. I thought she was a little bit needy. And then afterwards, I realized, yeah, she actually just wanted to keep me awake.
Oh, wow.
Until
Did she tell you
so
that?
now I realized that when I got my cognitive back, I realized I said to her, "Yo, I thought you were needy at the time." And we still laugh about that. And she just smiled. She said, well, just wanted to know that you're safe at home. So as soon as I opened my garage door, she would say, okay, Lindi, het jy my tot by die werk gepraat. Met 'n lekker dag, liefste vriendin. And that was just, but so was my family as well, sisters and parents, and after that.
So that's what I wanted to ask you is, so, you know, you've spoken about the impact it has had on you fighting illness, but what has been the impact on your family? I know you've touched on it a little bit, but I mean, do you think that perhaps it's given them a deeper understanding of compassion than most children?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, to some extent of disturbance, yeah, definitely has. I don't wish this upon anyone, and I don't want to think of God wanted to teach me a lesson, because I don't want to think of. I mean, God says He loves us more than we love our own children. I couldn't possibly think that God would want to teach me a lesson. I think, if anything, I've grown. I've grown to some level that I understand other people with disabilities better. So does my children. So I think they've grown to um, learn, grow, learn compassion, understanding, not taking anything for granted, and just appreciate life. And it's such a small part of our life on earth that is actually just so silly. And just, yeah, we need to just focus on the afterlife and how perfect we are and how perfect we were made. And this is not, this is not who we are, really.
Yeah.
And paying attention to our souls and, yeah, just, yeah, it's
Yes. So my
to our family.
my my oldest daughter has type 1 diabetes, and she's had it since she's been a year and a half old. She got diagnosed then. And I mean, it's been up and down, you know, especially in her, let's say about fourth grade. It was difficult because at fourth grade we started handing her the ropes of her diagnosis. So she had to learn how to start managing herself because the school required it of her. She wasn't able to talk to us so much at school. It's a whole long story, but anyways, it was like a time that we started, I felt, handing her her disease, you know, because we had been managing it for her. But as she got older, we had to give it to her basically and say, you now need to manage it, you know. And that was difficult. And then as she's getting older, teenager, she's now 14, turning 15 this year, there are times that she struggles with her diagnosis. She gets tired of testing. She gets tired of not just being able to eat like a, you know, she can just eat and not worry about what's it going to do to my sugar. Or she gets tired of the highs and the lows, you know, all of the whole story. But here's the thing, and why I'm mentioning it is because it is on these days where it's difficult that we as a family come together and say, look, we don't understand why it's difficult. You know, we don't understand why we have to live with a diagnosis. But what we do know is that God is good. And whether he heals today or he never heals, you know, whether he heals in this life or whether he never heals diabetes, we need to trust. That's our prerogative. We need to trust in the goodness of God's character. Because if we lose that, if we stop trusting that in spite of my situation, God is still good, right? If we lose that, then what hope do we have? What hope remains? And so that's sort of our thing in this family, is we say to each other, you know, it is difficult. We don't undermine the struggle. We acknowledge the struggle, the pain, the cry, the tears, the questions, the wrestling with it. You know, we acknowledge that, and we wrestle alongside each other on those days. But we don't blame and say, hey God, how dare you? You know, we don't say, oh, maybe God doesn't love me and that's why. We don't say, oh, maybe God's just preoccupied with other more important people, that he's not seeing my suffering. A similar thing with you is that there's been a lot of having to trust the Lord just with that he's good, because the situation is bad, but that doesn't make God bad, right?
Yes, and I honestly feel that this is not from him. I don't believe that at all. I don't think that I needed to be taught anything. Maybe I might have needed to grow, or my children, or maybe this is just part of my journey to maybe help others. But I don't, whilst I'm in hospital, every time when I was in hospital, a wheelchair is my thing. First, then I start walking with a, that, uh, walking,
Yeah,
I don't know what to call it in English,
I
but yeah.
know what this means.
Dit is daai
That
raam,
thing.
ja, dit daai raam, nee, walking
Yeah.
frame. And then, yeah, so, and then 2 days afterwards, I'm walking better, but yeah, so because of we lost my mobility in my left upper thigh, hip to my knee, I'm struggling with foot drop, and yeah, I'm just slow. So I just get up earlier. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's, yeah, I do tell, I do tell God, but hello, this is not abundance. So I do remind him of his promises. But then we do also live in a sinful world. I can just do the best I can, and I suppose you do as well. When I'm on two MS social platforms. Yeah, there's people that's got it so much worse. Not being able to work, not being able to drive, or even have children. People that's woken up next morning completely paralyzed, waist down. I've not been paralyzed waist down ever. Oh well, on one of the flare-ups I have, but I didn't fall over or to the front or the back. I just collapsed. But the next morning I was able to walk again. So that was just
Yeah.
one of the flare-ups. But that wasn't a permanent condition of mine. So I do, I'm very privileged to still have my husband. It was very hard on our marriage and our children as well. Everyone was still at school at the time. My oldest is in varsity already, so we all learned something, even though it's only compassion. Or just, can I just tell you about the biggest annoying thing? Disabled parking. So I don't think people realize that please don't take my disabled parking because I'm actually counting my steps. Also, people seem to be ignorant, and I might have been as well. But that's small little things that still keeps annoying you a little bit. But luckily, we've got now delivery to our houses as well since COVID.
Yeah.
So
Which changed everything.
so I do
Well,
believe heaven is for
I
everyone.
want to dig a little bit deeper if you don't mind. We don't have to go there. You can say no if you don't want to. But when you say that this has been difficult on your marriage, in which way do you mean? What has been the impact?
Okay, so it started with being misdiagnosed. So I was diagnosed with having this severe anxiety attack. So that's what we believed, and that's what my husband believed. I got my anxiety medication, so I had to get on with life because that's what it was. And it was very negligent of the neurologist in ER to just say, okay, you know what, this is what it is. Not sending, because it was my husband's choice to send me for the CAT and CT, whatever scans, but for the neurologist not to send me for an MRI to just double check on stuff. I think he neglected that, but we just believed him because in my family, everyone can do calculations and math and everything, but we don't have any medical background whatsoever. So we just believed him. And I just fell behind and fell behind. And my husband used to get annoyed with me because, all of a sudden I couldn't do stuff. I remember my oldest son was in high school still, and he wrote his June exams. And whenever he didn't write exams, he had to practice cricket. So I got all confused and asked him, so how was your test? And he was like, are you for real? And I just realized, he was playing cricket. And I was just like, oh no, I'm just joking. And and then I would ask him while school game, I was asking, okay, so what time do I need to fetch you tomorrow? So I had to start keeping notes. Because I already asked that and he already answered me. So that was something to get
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I would drive somewhere and I knew I had to go to some depot to fetch something. And I remember my husband said I had to go to this Takealot depot and I would end up in Joburg at some other depot. So this is literally what I've done and I didn't know it.
Yeah, so you were quite literally struggling on the inside. You were facing real hardships, and it seems that no one, not even yourself, really comprehended, understood the measure of just how hard it actually is or was for you. And everyone thought perhaps, hey, just get over it. It's anxiety. Drink your meds and just calm down. Why don't you just calm down? In meantime,
So
you're fighting a
I didn't know. So this is also maybe a funny story to tell afterwards. It was not funny at the time at all. But we visited my younger sister and on the Sunday, and when your children are small, you don't end up buying them shoes forever because they grow. So we literally had takkies and plakkies and whatever. And my husband said, remember to phone your sister Audrey just to see where we left Sion's shoes there the previous day. And I remember phoning my sister. Well, no. I phoned my sister. She remembered that I phoned her. And only after months, she said, Linda, you phoned me that day 5 times asking exactly the same thing. And I don't recall it at all. I don't recall any of it, even to this day.
Okay, Lindi,
And that
so
is positive.
yes, and where you are now, you spoke to me earlier, you said you're in remission. Tell me about that. How has it come that you are in remission?
Fortunately enough, blessed as I am, I managed to get the 18. So I was scrolling down the MS Facebook page and I saw, oh, this girl's gone to school with me. And I clicked on her and I thought, she's a neurologist, she's an MS specialist. I thought, no, you're joking. So phoned her offices. She was fully booked, I think for 4 months in advance. And I thought, well, I'm not gonna. I've got I had a cell phone number because we're the same age and we're on the same matric group, whatever. But I didn't feel comfortable just phoning her, so I emailed her and she made room for me. I think I phoned her Thursday. I saw her on a Tuesday, and that's how I'm in remission. I speak of my circle of trust, and there's not one person that's there that's not belonging there. If they say, I'm thinking of you, praying for you, always there for you, I don't feel like a burden. And if they say, I've got this for you, and I know they do. It's not just yes, it's not just saying. It's like, and yeah, and I'm quite privileged and blessed in that manner that it's not only a few people on there. I've got 20 plus people on there, and just checking in. Can I walk back in the day? Can I walk this one to school? Even a cricket coach years back, asking me, can I bring Heinrich home to you? Way out of his route, which wasn't necessary, but offered. And teachers that just like, they had to do research on some subject or on something and had to do a practical or whatever, and they just helped out all the time, every time.
So with the remission, is it going to go completely away or?
No, sorry, I didn't answer you correctly. So remission in MS means so you get, that's the myelin sheath that's on your brain and on your spinal cord that got damaged. And over a period of time, obviously I've been on medication. And if you've been on medication for, say, 2 years in a row and the lesions that you have didn't get bigger or there's not any new ones, they put you in remission. So as long as you don't have any more or the ones that's there bigger. So I still have those, but there's not any more for 2 years and there's not anything that's bigger. So
it's not getting worse. It's
no. I'm not looking at a wheelchair.
halted.
No, it's paused.
And will it remain paused for as long as you take the medication? Is that the idea?
No, I'm not taking any medication at this moment. I do just need to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Myelin sheath growth means that I need to eat very, very healthy. Omegas, or you can take in just with a capsule or something, but I need to feed my brain. Oily fish, green tea, those seed oil, all sorts of stuff. And so much weight.
Fatty food.
Yeah. So I've gained so much weight. But another joke. Sorry, another joke. I phoned my MS specialist, which is also my, she calls me a classmate. I said, Natanya, I'm not mobile, so I can't lose weight, but I'm just picking up weight. She's like, oh, Lynn, maybe just don't eat everything at once. She said, so I need to eat healthy, but not all the healthy stuff at once. So
Makes sense.
that
makes perfect sense. Lindy, now, wouldn't you consider this healing? Wouldn't you say
Yeah.
that you've been healed?
Um, I really, really want to be my old self. I want to say yes because I'm in remission. So I don't look at a wheelchair and I don't, yeah. But I often feel, Nadia, I've got so much to give and I'm not able to. And I think it's selfish of me not being able to give as much as I used to, um, especially to the boys. I've been so much more. I've really been so much more. Yeah, it's no one
Yeah.
deserves any illness. So I do long for being myself again, and I don't think it's far off. I mean, we've got a staircase in our house, and I'm up and down every day. But I wish I could have done it faster. So I've got this routine. I must go to, because of the medication I was on, I need to do blood tests, urine tests. I must go to Pilates. Otherwise, my body goes all in a spastic form because one side is overcompromising for the other one that doesn't work. And I have to go for physio. I've got a very routine lifestyle. I do sound ungrateful, don't I?
No, you don't. I think what I hear is you're content with the fact that it's not getting worse for you. I think that you feel that somehow you are missing out on who you used to be, and you know what is in you and you want to express all that's in you, and you feel that you are unable to, and that's frustrating. That can be frustrating. I can only imagine someone wanting to do something, hold something, and their hands just won't clutch the glass, and you're trying to clutch the glass, but you're not able to, like you used to, perhaps. So I don't hear unthankfulness or not grateful. That's not what I hear.
Yes, Nadia. So, um, truth be told, I've always been a giver and I've always been independent. And by the grace of God, financially, I'm probably allowed to be ill, but I've always helped. I'm not able to help anyone. I can barely help myself. So I think that's what I miss the most. I must also say that I'm raising boys, so they don't let me not get up, and they're always hungry. Before being ill, I was a giver and I understood I was helping out, and whenever someone couldn't attend something, or I was helping just carpooling or just watching my sister's kids while she has to work and they had to stay home, they could just easily just come and visit me, and we're not far apart. I liked being the giving type, and it made me feel worthy, it made me feel wanted, and that gave me purpose. And now I can't be all of that anymore. Okay, now my oldest son is also in varsity, and my grade 10, he's not that dependent on me anymore. But now all of a sudden I have to start all over again, learning about the Khoisan and the Noordwest in geography and all sorts of math and stuff. So, yeah, I'm compelled to remember stuff.
Yeah. Well, Lindy, I think you've shared some great insights. I think into the heart of living with challenging situations, challenging circumstances, and yet, like as you've been sharing, you're still managing. You are still walking. You are still waking up, and God's hand is clearly in this because you are not getting worse. You still have it, but you're not getting worse. And so you don't know, none of us know what's waiting, but I do feel that your story is one of hope. And I think if we pay attention, that's what we will take away from this conversation, is that there's always hope. And as long as we have hope, we get to wake up in the morning and put our feet on the ground and do something, whether it's small or big or impactful and a lot of people know it, or just maybe you and your child know it. We don't know. God says whatever we maybe sometimes think as small is actually the big things. He says don't what's that scripture? It says don't despise small beginnings. And in many ways your story is about small beginnings. You've had to stop and pause and wait and pray and heal in some degree. And now it's about small beginnings. You're learning again with your youngest child things that you've already forgotten. But how amazing is it that your brain is being fed information, so it's developing and linking neurons in your brain as you are thinking and working through information with your child. So I just so clearly see that God has so present in your story.
This whole humble pie I've been eating, it's been very challenging, but yeah, it's growth. It's all a growth mindset, and not only for me, for any person with any illness, I suppose, is just to, I think whilst in my busier lifestyle, I've been so focused on giving and helping that my life was consumed with helping others and maybe taking stuff in my own hands because I wanted to help. And maybe people might not have learned or grow because I was trying so hard. I'm still fighting the good fight. I feel compelled to maybe just tell this one thing that's really happened to me. About 18 months ago. So I'm a dreamer. In the Christian world, I'm a dreamer. God speaks to me via dreaming. And it's always just before I wake up. So I can't actually tell you whether it was a vision or a dream. But it was this beautiful lady, long brown hair, slim, but like really gorgeous. And I felt uneased, like just straight away. And this lady told me that I could be healed from the get-go and never think of this ever again if I could just surrender. And this was not me, this was the Holy Spirit. And I was sleeping, but my unconscious and the Holy Spirit just fought against it. And I did not accept this because, came with terms and conditions. It wasn't healing from God. So at this time, I had to make this choice whilst being asleep. And maybe if I wasn't a believer in God, I would have surrendered. It was the Holy Spirit within me that just helped me just contain this emotion of not accepting this and not accepting this. And I think it was not a year later, maybe a little bit more, say 18 months. And I still remember thinking I could have been healed, but it would have come at such a great, great cost, not living eternal life with God. I haven't spoken about this to, I think, many people. I don't think all people are accepting this train of thought or religion or the way I'm thinking. Little people know of this, but I don't mind sharing it. But from that day, I just realized this is a spiritual warfare.
Absolutely. So what would you say it's Women's Month, right? So let's speak to the women. What would you say to a mom, a wife, a daughter, a woman that is facing difficult situations and she's at her wit's end and she doesn't understand?
Okay, so I've got numerous women like this in my life, also struggling with maybe health, a husband without a job, a friend that just got divorced. So there's many people in my life facing difficult situations. I mean, 50 to me is around the corner, so this is our age. Or yeah, but there's no such thing as rock bottom. And yeah, if there's no one left, the only thing is God. Just grab his hand. He's not going anywhere. It's us that we are so involved with everyday stuff and things going on around us and fighting about custody or fighting about this, or do I get this? Do I go for chemo? Do I go for radiation? Do I go for this, or do I just go on dentist? Do I just suffer this or the holistically way, or do I just trust God? It's very personal. To me, I've had the opportunity to get my disease modifying therapy, but yeah, my children kept me going, and praying family. Praying family, get a circle of trust behind you that prays for you when you're weak. Because when you're at your weakest, you're really your strongest. So if there's a lesson I've learned there, is that's actually the truth. You're strongest when you're the weakest.
Wow.
And just hold on to it.
Yes,
If you can't take the step, if you can't take the steps, you have to get down to the staircase on your bottom, do that.
Well, I don't think there's anything else to add to that. Thank you for sharing honestly and openly, Lindi. And I hope that you have enjoyed and has been inspired by this conversation. I hope that you've found renewed hope in the goodness of the God that we serve and the Lord Jesus Christ. I would love for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can continue to get content such as this. And then, of course, like it, share it with someone that you care about. Lindi, thank you so much for being here. I will be with you again next week.